time. So we will now move on to our fourth session, and let me share with you the panelists' profiles. So let me introduce you to all our panelists, and may I request Ravi, Rani, and Prasad, you would be able to switch on your videos now and also your audio if required. Yes. All right. Great. Now I can see you. All right. Great. So let me very quickly introduce our panelists. First of all, let me start with Ravi Dangwal. He is the L&D head of Indian Immunologicals Limited. Ravi is a certified workplace learning specialist. He's a performance coach and he's a leadership facilitator. His objective is to establish training as a business lever and change agent by offering simplified solutions. He has worked with organizations like Pfizer, Abbott, Walter Bushnell, and is presently heading L&D at Indian Immunologicals. Other than his management education, he also holds numerous certifications, including being an ICF certified life and executive coach, global leadership assessment from GCG, 7 habits from Franklin Covey, NLP and LOA practitioner certifications, and he's got many other L&D related credentials as well. So Ravi, welcome to the conference and to this session.
Thanks, Zubin.
So let me introduce Rani Belliappa. She is the Executive Director, HR Business Partner and Head of L&D and Talent Management for KPMG Global Services. Rani has 21 years of overall experience spearheading L&D consulting, talent management, leadership development, digital learning, organizational development initiatives, change and transformation, aligning to strategic business priorities. Facilitation and coaching for global audience spanning 1,000+ professionals across advisory, tax, and audit businesses in her current role, associating with business partners and industry luminaries. She holds the distinction of being a gold medalist and first rank holder in her master's. And of course, she also holds a postgraduate diploma in HRM from Karnataka State University. She is a Marshall Goldsmith certified coach and she is accredited with several L&D related certifications. She is an active panelist and keynote speaker at industry forums. She is a mentor at Beyond Diversity Foundation. It's a non-profit organization that helps people succeed through immersive learning and mentoring programs. And she's been a recipient of the KPMG Global Services People Leader Award in 2019 and KPMG Global Services Impact Award of 2016-17. So she's a think tank and steering committee member for inclusion and diversity initiatives also at KPMG Global Services. Rani, welcome to the session. Welcome to the conference.
Thank you, Zubin. And hello to all the L&D and HR fraternity out there. Look forward to the discussion.
Absolutely. And I'm going to introduce our next panelist, Prasad Dixit. He is the head of learning and development, Lupin Limited. So Prasad has 25 years of corporate experience, 7 years in sales, and 18 years in leadership training and human resources, spanning across IT, telecom, retail, and pharma. He's an expert in setting and driving up L&D functions with a clear focus on delivering impact by partnering with business. He's certified in situational leadership, MBTI, OPQ 32, certified assessor through TB Rao Learning Systems in competency assessment. He's certified in NLP, EQI 2.0. He's a CEO coach who drives performance by working through behaviors. He is an expert in leading assessment and development centers, followed by rigorous implementation of projects through the IDP approach. And Prasad's core competence is leading tactical and strategic learning interventions, which is focused on achieving the desired business outcomes. Prasad, welcome to our conference and welcome to the session.
Hi, good afternoon. Good afternoon, Zubin. Thank you so much for this opportunity and looking forward to a great discussion with you, Rani and Ravi. And good afternoon to everyone who's joined from L&D and HR. Hope this is a great Saturday for everyone.
All right, thank you, Prasad. So let me start with Ravi with our fundamental question of what the session is about. So, what has been your experience, Ravi, in creating the link between L&D goals and business goals?
Yeah, Zubin, thank you so much for this wonderful question to begin with, because I believe that for all L&D professionals who very enthusiastically are there as a participant and as a panelist, and including you as well, this is the tipping point, I believe. This is the tipping point, because usually what happens, if you ask L&D professional that how do you define yourself, some of us say that I'm proud about the knowledge I carry. Some of us feel great about the way we are able to deliver the knowledge. And some of us say that, yes, we are able to provide certain solutions as far as, what business needs. But the tipping point for L&D professionals is when they become that enablers, when you are enabling business to reach their desired goals. And that is where the connect actually begins. So I'm really happy when you begin with this wonderful question. And this is where, you create value. Otherwise, you are just creating a brand for yourself. You create value and you start adding value to others. Coming to your question, like about my experience. So I'll put my experience in three parts as far as the linking business with L&D goals is concerned, business goals and L&D goals. For the first part, in fact, I really get reminded about those initial training days, and where you're planning about training sessions and your L&D engagements, and then you're looking forward how they are working or not. And then and in one of those situations, a manager turns up to me and he's asking that when are we going to have the next L&D intervention? So internally, I'm actually happy and excited. Wow, L&D is working, and see, look at them. They are actually keen to learn more about that. And I say, yes, we are planning something about for some managers. We are having a manager development program. And very immediately, this person says, yes, I have a manager. I want to nominate that person for the program. I say, great, wow, wonderful. And when I try to understand from him that why he is recommending a person X for this program, he says, because, these days I'm finding him little low and his motivation level is not up to the mark. I'll send him to your training program. And, I know once he attends the training program, he'll be charged, he'll be motivated, and he'll be back. And I'm scratching my head because my session is about conflict management. My session is about, critical conversations. This is nothing to do with motivation. And I also realize that I'm not something like a radio jockey who's doing a radio show to motivate people like that. I have full regards for radio jockeys, by the way. But at the same time, the point here is what business is looking and what L&D is offering when we have this kind of gap. So for the first point, I say that how business defines L&D, or what is the why L&D? Why L&D is there? What is the why? How business defines L&D? If it is not there, then definitely we miss it. From L&D, I'm ready with certain resources. But if business is understanding me in a different way, then the connect itself is not getting created. So that is my first experience, which I could learn. Point here is that potential versus perception. The potential that L&D has got, the perception that business is having about L&D. This need to be absolutely clear. The more clearer it is, the more better value L&D will be able to add, and the goals can definitely be sink in. Because business is always looking for resources. In boardroom meeting, what happens? What does business ask for? Business asks for, you give us more resources because we want to exceed the numbers. We want this more because we want to reach out to those targeted objectives. So why would not they reach out to L&D? It is only because when the understanding about L&D is not there, or maybe it is not being understood as a resource, then definitely these kind of gaps can definitely happen. So the first part is how business defines L&D, or why L&D, why of L&D. If it is clear, then definitely it works out. That is my first big experience I would like to share. The second experience is about how does a typical L&D dashboard looks like. you talk to different L&D professionals, and how do they talk about their dashboard? Some of the L&D professionals will sum up their year, 1 year of activity or a particular period of activity. I feel great because this time I have conducted 25 programs. I could conduct a program on how to be effective manager. I could do on situation leadership. I could do on this, that, X, Y, Z, and so on. The point is, are you happy and satisfied having a dashboard with more number of programs? Or are you happy and satisfied by creating programs which are end to end, identifying the learning gap and ensuring that there is a solution? So if the L&D dashboard speaks about more number of programs rather than a cyclic behavior, I think that is what you are not linked. The goals are not linked. So in a way, L&D need to be cyclic rather than linear. We have to have a cyclic process in place. And when it is there, then definitely L&D dashboard will be different and the connect will be more higher. So to sum it up in the way, L&D, yes, the challenge mostly is it is more of L and less of D. And I guess that is the elephant in the room. Because when we are more into learning, let me do different session, but what exactly is happening to those sessions? What is the outcome? And what is the change being brought about? Being an enabler. So that is the second part. How does your dashboard looks like? What all activities in which way you are engaged into? Definitely creates a different ecosystem of learning and actually being an enabler in generating business and helping in generating business. And the third part definitely is how are we matching the L&D interventions and learners gap? Many times business misunderstands L&D in this sense. L&D cannot be a solution to every gap. There are many gaps which L&D cannot. It is not meant to fill certain gaps. So if there is a mismatch, definitely the goals are not matched. So these are my three experiences I would like to share as far as the goals of L&D and business are concerned. If they are linked in this manner, L&D adds value, it's being valued, L&D finds a place in the boardroom, and that is how it is. Yeah.
All right. So, Rani, I would go to you with a question, but what Ravi right now said, and he was one of the points that I just want to pick up from what he said was the D of the L&D is something that we need to consider, so which is development. Now, the point is, my question would be more towards your experience in dealing with this aspect of linking L&D goals to business goals. So, have you, in your experience, faced challenges in creating this sync, this link, and were you able to find solutions to the challenge? Because if you have to make the link, the business goals have to be very clear. They have to be shared. Information has to be shared. In fact, in one of our previous sessions, I remember, I think Pankaj Tiwari, he wrote that I would say not sufficient informational data is shared. So, thinking, looking at it from this perspective, what would be your answer? And if you could share an experience, would be really great.
Sure. Thank you, Zubin. And it's an honor to be here in this forum. And more importantly, I'd like to acknowledge about close to 150 or 200 of us as current day and age professionals are taking the time out to learn from each other. So hats off to you for having even kind of anchored this. So Zubin, I think I really liked your topic from cost center to business partner. But I will throw more light on not business partner, but partner in the business, actually. If I have to step back and talk a little bit about my 22 years of career, I have seen the L&D continuum evolve. Early stages of my career, probably about 20 years ago, when I was working with manufacturing sector, when I was working in the sales industry, L&D, every time we went with an agenda, got totally stumped, right? Because we had an agenda or whatever, we created the agenda. And for them, that sales revenue, that every pie was important. In the manufacturing sector, day-to-day survival was important. So where did L&D even kind of exist? And if you look at the entire world 2 decades ago, L&D in the overall gamut of HR, I think was the least recognized. Right. So that is how I have seen L&D evolve to where it is today. Let me in the later parts, in the mid part of the continuum, I was working with IT organization, right? So one thing that I spoke about is L&D. Every time you went with an agenda, just kind of got stumped. The next is the IT industry, where L&D came into play for survival, which means I think they are working on codes, they are working on closing on projects for clients. The whole emphasis was on the domain, on the technical certifications. So again, was it a co-created agenda? It wasn't, right? Because I, as a freelancer, I was a part of IL and FS, and I was training in Infosys. So for them, what came first? Definitely the survival, the expertise, and building domain knowledge in the technical capability came in first. But now I'm the fortunate advantaged one. In the last 15 years, I've been in the professional services firm and being in the people industry, right? Or in the services industry. For us, I think the fundamental belief is that we'd like to invest in our people. Our people is everything. That's where we can be the clear choice to our clients, right? So there is no question of thinking, or we don't even think twice to say that it is a cost. It is all about investing in our people, getting our people upskilled, reskilled, cross-skilled. That is when we can grow as an organization, because people really bring in business, right? So now, having seen all of this, and having evolved, and even to this day and age, I know we have so many L&D professionals listening to this. There are challenges, and I did hear, and I also listened to Rupa's question, which said, while there is a strategy, where do we get stuck in execution? To me, and my view, and it's completely my view, unless L&D and business co-create the strategy, co-create the vision, right? Partner, and we have the hand in gloves, it is not going to be successful, right? It cannot be two different agendas. Business has their whatever KPIs and L&D. So to me, that's what I feel is not going to be successful. Now, last year we clocked about 83 hours of learning in the organization, right? And again, going back to your question, I've seen the journey evolve, and I'm also saying I'm the advantaged one to be in the people or in the services space. Is there challenge for me? Yes. The challenges here are a little different. The challenges are the one size fits all my strategy. I can't go and land it across the organization of 25, 30,000 people, right? KPMG Global Services, we are close to 12,000. KPMG in India, so all put together about 25,000 people. My strategy is about how will we co-create for tax? How will we co-create for audit? How will we co-create for advisories? The challenges are different. While there is a macro level, certain levers that we would like to operate, strategizing. So I think the first thing on how you can probably mitigate these challenges, and very, very practical, Zubin, is how business acumen, what is our business acumen? How much do we know the business? How much do we co-visualize where our business is headed? Where is the industry? What is the competition? What is the innovation happening? Unless we sit with business to speak business language to understand, it is not. So first thing is about business acumen. Second thing, what I think, of course, organizations and HR and L&D professionals are involving, it's about building that commercial mindset. So instead of business asking us those questions, right? And some of my fellow panelists did mention, why are we not as HR and L&D professionals building that commercial mindset to actually speak that commercial value when we talk to business? The third thing is about our own fungibility. You've been, others have been in the L&D for X many years. What worked there, we continue to kind of force fit. So that force fitting does not work, right? To be ahead of the game, we need to visualize where the business is headed, current innovation, technology, all of that. And then, of course, not really keep it a one kind of a one size fits all, but then be fungible. Second thing is about our own agility. How agile are we in thinking and innovation to come up with those creative solutions, novel solutions, more so in current context in the virtual world, right? We all did training for hours. We moved from teaching to facilitation to blended learning, right? And blended learning today, it's all virtual learning. Even in this virtual world, what is the way, or what are some of the innovative methodologies to entice and to keep our audience engaged? Something that we need to continuously be agile and be ahead of the game. So that and of course never to forget to continue to kind of be more innovative there. So these are some of the things that I think we will probably be successful, and it all goes back to self-reflection. There are Michael Porter's has brought in many challenges. There'll continue to be challenges, but as long as, and I think there are two basic principles, or I think everything is juxtaposed by two things. One is the value that we bring into the business and the relevance. If we go with our agenda, it will always get trashed, right? And I'll give you two brilliant examples. And one thing is, when your business is saying, I'm hiring 500 new campus to corporate people, right? Now, immediately what occurs is, okay, I will do campus to corporate training. That doesn't matter. If your campus folks are coming on a next date, I think we need to co-think with the business to say, what is the turnaround time? How soon will they be available to start off working on engagements? How soon are they ready? They really plug and play. So this means we co-create, or we come together to say, so many people, what is that? How are we going to help them? And just not by learning, they'll be able to do. It's about learning, it's about culture, it's about understanding the nuances of the landscape. So that is where I think business and L&D need to come together. So I know it's a different spiel for the question, but I think just coming and stemming from my experiences of being in the people space, I thought I must share my experiences and table with this group. Over to you, Zubin.
Absolutely, I think that's spot on. And I just saw Caroline Phillips writing spot on, Rani. I mean, that was the first thing that came to my mind, and I saw a comment in the question box as well. In fact, the co-creation part is something that we need to look into. And I'll pick that point on co-creation. I'll go to Prasad now and ask Prasad to share. Prasad, if you can share, maybe cite an example of a specific business goal that that the L&D goals can be aligned to. I mean, again, from your experience, because I think the discussion, if we have more of a practitioner's approach, I think the learning would be really good from the attendees' perspective. So, can you cite an example of very specific business goal to which an L&D goal is aligned?
Sure, I think a very valid question, because I remember I started working in the early 90s. I was in the sales, and what those 7 years of sales taught me was the value of a month end, and the value of 31st, 30th. And what it taught me was one very important thing in life, that if you're not adding value, you're adding cost. And that kind of helped me build a foundation on driving HR, driving learning, approaching it like a salesperson. Because at the end of the day, what my shareholders, my investors are looking at is a return on capital employed, period. It doesn't matter what you do. If I'm not growing at X%, then you probably are not really doing justice to the time and the value that you're achieving in the organization. So I think one important learning that I have had over these years, and I think this is advice for everyone here, is if you don't know what business your company is in, if you don't know some of the profitable products your company is selling, if you don't know where is the raw material coming from, if you don't know at what margins are you being offered in the market, if you don't know to read your balance sheet, if you don't know the cost of people, the cost of materials, and the cost of logistics, then I think all your solutions are going to be solutions coming out of silos. Because you may have great programs, but if those programs are not going to add value to the business, it is of less help. So it may be great aha moments for businesses, but when they go back, they would wonder what. What I liked about what Ravi and Rani spoke about is is a strategy that learning professionals need to bring in. I think it's brilliant to hear both of them because it just gives me a perspective from a different industry. Uh, and I think a lot of people with the world being connected the way it is, with learning available on handsets and so many of them available on Google, I think a lot of people know what needs to be done. And thank you for your question. I'll talk about two specific instances of how it needs to be done. Uh, in one of these, I've been looking for 10 years and, I saw the organization start with, close to, 9,000, 10,000 crores. And today it's close to $2 billion an organization. So doubled in revenue, doubled in manpower. One of the challenges that, and this would be any organization, one of the challenges that I was facing, one of my business leaders came and told me is that we have a particular manufacturing site, great facility, old teams working with each other for 25 years, but we are still not able to achieve a target. See, every site has a target. Some sites make raw materials, which is then shipped to another site that makes the formulation, which is the tablets, and they export it. Now, if the site that is making the raw materials, we call it API, if that API site is not doing well, everything else successively fails. So I'm not able to deliver API to the plant that needs it. They can't manufacture the tablets, and then the tablets can't be exported. So everyone gets into trouble. The formulation teams can't, do it. And the formulations can't do it. They can't deliver it to the business. The business can't export it. Logistics have a problem because they have spare capacity. And we really tried to figure out what is it that is ailing, because the teams are old, 25 years, 30 years, they know each other. So I decided to do a concern validation study. So with the team, met a lot of stakeholders, met the HODs, worked with them to understand what is it that is bothering you and what is it that you need to be able to deliver your product. Unfortunately or fortunately, the way the pharma operates is, I have a production team, I have a quality team. Now the roles that both these people have are absolutely opposite. The job of production is to make as much as they can, and the quality is to ensure that whatever is made is of top-notch quality. In fact, Lupin, I take pride in saying that we absolutely give quality paramount importance. Even if it's a question of deciding over cost, we say, okay, it doesn't matter if the molecule is not good, we just chuck it. Now we realized that although people were knowing each other very well, there was no collaboration happening in the true spirit. I used to make X number of batches as per my target, but the quality team did not have enough manpower. So the batches, validation of those batches used to spill over in a few days. The moment a spillover happens, it's got a domino effect in all other areas. So I met these people with the team, obviously, understood what needs to get better. And interestingly, we got differing point of views of how the other team is not supporting me. While I'm doing everything, I am going beyond the call of duty, I am having a lot of ownership, the other person is not doing it. And the other person pointed the finger here. So I clearly, this is a classic case of everyone wants to chip in, everyone wants to do a good job, but nobody wants to start. Yeah. And then we launched an intervention around sustaining energy and effectiveness in diverse teams. And we use a T-group methodology. I'm certified in doing T-groups. And we launched a 9-month intervention. And we got people together and we split 2 days. Day one was only looking at what are my personal blocks that I have. And we went into a person's history. And the methodology allowed it to do it. And we realized by the end of the day that a lot of personal blocks I am juxtaposing on the other person, the function that is there. And as a result, the personal blocks are becoming the functional blocks. And as a result, I'm not delivering the kind of stuff that I'm supposed to deliver. Day two, we invested in trying to find out what are business problems that are arising because of the individual blocks. And we identified that a lot of things that are actually happening are because of my own personal blocks. Let's look at a way of resolving this. And we very clearly had a metric. The metric was each department rates the other departments on a scale of 1 to 10. And we review this every fortnight to begin with, and then every month to begin with. And I fundamentally believe anything that is measured improves. So what we need is a metric to measure, a solid follow-up, and then you see people working. And you realize in 9 months, the same people who were pointing fingers were hand in glove with each other in terms of looking at, okay, let me get in a few more resources to support you. It doesn't matter if I have to work a little later in the day. And we realized plants turned around. And what started as a pilot went on for all 15 manufacturing sites. and everyone wanted to do it. And we started the leadership teams and we covered the teams under them. So an example of going to business, understanding a problem that they have, and then looking at a solution that works for them. And fundamentally, what we do is, at least in Lupin, what we do is we start from what success will look like if this succeeds, and how it will add the numbers that you want. Then we look at what skills and gaps need to be filled. Then we look at what is it that we need. And sometimes we say we don't have the expertise of doing it. Let's find a different way. So this was, I think, an example of how do we identify a business goal, a business challenge, and then do a program around it, and then mapping it for 9 months.
Right. So let me take a few questions. I think I have some really interesting questions in the question answer box as well, Prasad. So I'll ask this question. Let this be open to all the panelists, and if you think that's just something where you can add value, please do answer. So there's a question which comes from Nitesh. Nitesh Goyal asked, most of the time the business goals are top line and bottom line, so sales profile. How to connect or link behavioral sessions with business goals? If you could cite some real examples which can help to understand this better. So linking behavioral sessions with business goals.
So I can take that if you don't mind.
Absolutely, please go ahead.
So just taking on to the earlier discussion, see, I think what happens is, and this is my experience, and I segregate my experience in pre-2008 and post-2008. 2008, why? Because it taught us the value of having a solid business. Lehman Brothers, nobody thought Lehman Brothers would go down like a pack of cards. They were a solid organization, a solid backing. And what we realized is the value of money and the value of profit and the value of driving investment, return on investment, everything that we do. So here's an example. We realized pre-2008, a lot of L&D was only communication skills, team building programs, at the most presentation skills. And what would change is, okay, team building, let's go to Ambi Valley. Let's go to a Lavasa kind of a place. And I think post-2008, businesses started asking, if I give you 100 rupees, what will it fundamentally change for me? And I think the first thing we need to do as L&D professionals is build a solid credibility of being a business champion and asking those difficult questions. So if I'm doing a program on team building, I ask a question to these guys, will this change anything? If this is not going to change anything, please don't do it. We have enough work on our hands. A lot of times I have seen learning professionals get into doing programs just to keep themselves busy, just to appear busy. And that does a lot of damage. It's okay if you don't have much to do, but it just erodes your credibility. We have a challenge. One of these businesses that we had, unfortunately, we had a lot of people retiring from Lupin at senior levels. And what we realized is we were able to see a very, very clear shift in the engagement and attrition levels in the organization. And as a result, business was getting affected. So obviously the business head came and checked with us in terms of what is it that we can do. Can we do something better? Because my commitment to my formulation plants is going down. I'm not able to deliver the number that I'm supposed to deliver, that I'm delivering anyways over these years. And then we obviously got in the business, spoke to some of the people and understood the real challenge is leadership. When a leader who's there for 25 years, who worked with me, suddenly moves away, it's a cultural shift that a new leader comes in has to manage. When a new leader that comes in is not able to understand the culture, is not able to understand why people are, with me, for these years, it kind of creates a gap. So we looked at, understanding what is it in the culture that is bothering these people in terms of the newness of leadership that has come in. We built an intervention just to ensure that the culture shifts. Okay. So very clearly, we got together a bunch of 18, 19 head of the department. We did a psychometric assessment. Now, psychometric taught them a mirror. Okay, this is how I look at myself. We did a cluster feedback, which is a 360, where their people came, and we created a situation where there was a lot of trust that my person, if I am the leader, my person will come and tell me 2 good things and 2 things that I had to work on. And it worked beautifully. People had so much of guts and people had so much of trust in the system that they came and shared with the leader, okay, these 2 things you need to improve. Then we launched an intervention around how can we create leadership behaviors for inspiring and engaging people. And in between these, we had coaching sessions to understand how do I create an IDP around building the 360 feedback that I got? How do I create an IDP around the psychometric tool that I got? And fundamentally, if you ask people important, intelligent questions about how they are impacting people, and go back to people and ask them again, okay, is this guy changing? Is this guy improving? And circling back that feedback, things look up. We started this in October 2019. Unfortunately, COVID hit. For 4 months, things were really crazy, but then we were able to manage. And as a result, we see that the same people who were looked at as outsiders suddenly have now become the darlings of the crowd because they went beyond their comfort zone and they started doing things that their people wanted them to do. And then things fell in place. And as a result, we saw the plant that was struggling to deliver a few things over the last 6-8 months suddenly has now become top-notch plants because all activities came together. And when we were closing the program, one of those guys in the leaders mentioned that now there's a lot of trust amongst us as leaders. There's a trust amongst not only us, but trust amongst the people in the team. And that was what was needed. So when a person in my team today chooses to shift his skip from 8 hours, 10 hours to 12 hours, does not go home, he understands that by doing this, he's not only helping the organization, he's helping himself because then everything is linked together. And that's when we are able to do a difference. And then business comes back to us for more.
Right, great, Prasad. Thank you for answering that question. Okay, there's a comment from Pratiksha Desai for the answer you gave. She says, "Sir, on point and very practical. Great explanation." All right. So let me let me get to the next question. The next question is from Manjeet Mohan. Being tactical or strategic, which has helped you more in your role as L&D heads? Business KPIs and L&D KPIs are set differently. Can you share examples in your organization where there is a match or amalgamation or coexistence of both? Again, I'll keep the question open if anybody would like to answer.
Shall I take this one?
Yes, Ravi, sure.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you so much, Manjeet Mohan, for this wonderful question. And absolutely, yes, at any point of time, whenever we are having an L&D intervention, you can all the time find, the importance of being both, being tactical as well as strategic. So if you ask me, then the first liner or first response to me would be, it will be blended approach. We got to be strategic, while we need to be tactical enough to ensure that whatever we are delivering, it sees light of the day. And I'll share an example when I say this. So thanks to pandemic, pharma industry for the first time kind of was pushed towards adopting, the online sales or virtual selling. Because prior to this, pharma sales was not into that. People were always visiting the customers and it was live sales. So thanks to pandemic, that is a change which has happened. So one of the recent training need for us was we were given one statement that we need a training, and this was from a VU head. The training was required, and the sentence which were there that we need a training on handling digital technology. So now this is the TNI, handling digital technology. When I see this handling digital technology at the outset, it looks like, is there some technical gap, or do we need to, because pharma has never been into virtual sales or our team has never been into virtual sales. Is it something like, keeping people posted on how to be digitally stronger or effective? So it appeared like that. Now that needed more of, searching and digging out. So we did an extensive TNI to understand that what exactly this needed. And this TNI was done at different layers. One is that we can keep it at BU head layer, and but we went on till the ultimate user layer also. So there was an exercise to dig out the entire TNI from all the layers, all the levels, and what we found out was absolutely different. So point was, what we discovered, something which appeared as a gap in technical understanding, was later on a mix of many things. there definitely was a need to fill a gap as far as adopting this change is concerned. Change management definitely was. There definitely was many people who were willing to adopt virtual sales, but they were not skilled enough. They need to change or adopt a new sales pitching. The earlier sales pitching gave a good amount of time. In virtual sales, your sales pitching has to be much faster. It's a different tonicity that you need. So this extensive TNI gave us an absolute understanding that it is not just about one part. It is not just about those technical gaps. It is about change management. It is also about handling digital, conducting a virtual sales and so on. Initially, we were asked for conducting one session. The need which was shared to us was one session you conduct. But then we have dissected that. We said that the same session, if I talk to executives, they will have different needs. The session need to be different. For managerial population, it has to be different. For senior management, it has to be different. So this one training need which we got, we have then finalized it in multiple layers. We finally arrived at two different programs. One was for the top management level, the senior managers who were to overlook the team, how they are performing, how they are conducting their virtual sales. It was about certain nuances of coaching people on virtual sales, and the second part was to the execution level. Now, till now, whatever I said is largely strategic in nature. We strategize a L&D solution, and the tactical team, tactical component, when we reached out to those executives who were to actually conduct this virtual sales, their L&D solution was entirely different. The session design was entirely different. We had more of simulations there. We had more of situations to be handled there. And that did not just ended within those Zoom meeting sessions. It was then continued with a whiteboard feedback. It was then continued with a mechanism where people are sharing how they are doing it. We even ask certain people, do it in front of us. We would like to to be in your journey, how you're doing it. That is more of than tactical. So a lot of tactics were shared. We were there with the journey when how people are doing it, how it is being implemented. And hence, in a nutshell, one, it is definitely a merger of both tactical as well as strategic. But then, yes, based on the customer, it has to be customized. But the merge actually ensures that whatever solution, the challenge, TNI, and the solution that you are offering will ultimately lead to that desired change which business needs. So that is how I would like to put it.
All right.
Over to
Thanks.
you, Zubin.
Thanks, Ravi. Thanks a lot. I
Zubin,
will.
if I may just add
Yes.
one comment.
Yes, Rani. Yes,
Zubin,
Rani.
if I may just add one comment.
Please go ahead.
If the strategy has to be successful, you will have to manage the tactical part of it very well. So that I would like to leave the audience with this thought.
Okay, I think that's well summarized in the end, Rani. Thank you so much. We're just about hitting 1 o'clock. I think we've more or less answered all the relevant questions. I do see. So Praveen Sathe's question, I will not take it now, but I'll take it in session number 5 because it has relevance to that session. And Aditi Johari has asked a question: how do L&D professionals gain and enhance business acumen and keep it up to date to contribute to business outcomes? Rani, would you like to take this question?
Yeah.
Enhancing business
So,
acumen.
yes. See, I think typically what we do when we are joining as an L&D professional to any new organization, right? The willingness to unlearn is very, very high. Because you are moving into a new organization, you need to understand the nuances of the business. You may be moving from different industry, right? So I think the first thing, instead of talking about the environment, what we as L&D professionals need to do, step back, unlearn all of that we have learned, and soak in knowledge, right, of the business. Very, very critical. Second thing, there can be certain, short-term things where, we have something called a revolving door, where people in HR do sit to operate, right, like a business person, just to understand the nuances, work with the operations team, right? And these are all stretch projects for yourself to understand the business, right? And in KPMG, we've also had people from the business come and join the L&D team, with no L&D experience, right? They know the business very well, and the entire knowledge that they acquire is about the art and science of L&D. So multiple ways, I think. What really comes into play is our way, the way we unlearn, the way we are more, I think, open to learning, to understand deeper. Of course, you have to put in that effort, longer hours to understand. Second thing, sit with the teams, make it your stretch project, work with your operations team to understand, ask them questions. That I want my fellow panelists are ask those pertinent questions in terms of metrics, in terms of KPI, understand who your clients are, or who your stakeholders are, or who your customers are. So all of this, so it cannot be, it's just not a one tool saying I will do this to gain business knowledge, but I think multiple factors have to come into play for you to be well versed with what the business landscape is.
All right. Thank you so much, Rani, for answering that final question. So we are 2 minutes beyond one. We would now like to conclude the session. So thank you so much, Prasad. Thank you, Rani, and thank you, Ravi, for your time and for sharing your experiences and your insights. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Thank
Zubin.
you so
Wonderful,
much.
wonderful, very well hosted. And thank you, Rani and Ravi. Got to know a new insight today. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so
Thanks
much, Zubin,
everyone.
for this wonderful session. Thank you, Rani, Prasad. It has been wonderful, and all the wonderful audience there. Lovely questions and the participation. It's an amazing effort by all of us. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thanks to everyone. And Zubin, continue to anchor these sessions. Absolutely valuable for us to learn from our fellow panelists and from the audience. So thanks everyone, and have a great weekend. Bye-bye.